I'm gonna come out and say it. I don't want David Tennant to come back. You suck! Hang on, you're literally my voice. Yeah, even I think you suck. Hello friends from the Wheelchair Gang, Tharies here, and welcome back to another video where today we are going to be discussing a wee little topic that's been a hot button issue, it can be said, on the minds of many Doctor Who fans. So with the announcement of JODIE Whittaker and Chris Chibnall's departure from our beloved Doctor Who,
Anime Doctor Who!
Came the announcement of 3 specials, culminating in one event, Centenary special for the BBC, which has led many to wonder how they are going to decide to represent the history of not only the BBC, but also Doctor Who as a franchise. And many people have settled upon the idea of David Tennant, who played the 10th Doctor from 2006 to 2009, returning to reprise his role for this special. And I really don't want this to happen, but I suppose I should give a little bit of a background as to why. So ever since JODIE Whittaker took on the role of the 13th Doctor, there's been what I like to call an abundance of RTD era nostalgia, specifically, but not exclusively, surrounding the 10th Doctor, because obviously we had things like the 9th Doctor audios recently as well, but the vast majority of it has been to surround the 10th Doctor and his era. And I'm not just talking about in the show, even though that has been a factor as well, with people like Captain Jack returning, along with various nods to the era and straight up scenes being directly lifted from that era. But more specifically, I'm referring to Tennant's plentiful appearances in spin-off media, specifically in accompaniment with the 13th Doctor. This has happened in the comics, this is happening in the new video game, and if rumours are to be believed, it is set to happen again in this Centenary special. And am I the only one who is just a teeny bit sick of it? It comes across to me like the BBC know that the RTD era was the era that basically the majority of people like. It's kind of the original trilogy for Star Wars, if that makes sense. Whereas like the prequel trilogy and the sequel trilogy, respectively, are kind of a bit more controversial, wishy-washy. Some people like it, some people don't. The original trilogy is that reliable cash cow that they can consistently milk the teat of until it runs dry. Don't pause on that. That's why you have things like Darth Vader in Rogue One, or Palpatine returning in Rise of Skywalker. It's a guaranteed way of getting the most people to care about what you're doing without actually having to do anything new. And it just comes across to me as really transparent and lazy. Almost as if to say, yeah, we know you don't like the current iteration as much as previous ones, but rather than do anything about that, we're just going to serve you the same old stuff we always have. That'll fix it. It's a consistent trope that many franchises fall into when they aren't performing the best. And I'm not saying that Doctor Who's not performing the best, but it does at least give off that impression. It gives off the impression that in order to make JODIE sell, they need to put Tennant alongside her. It's even happened with things like Pudsey and Roblox and Build-A-Bear and loads of things. It's always 10 and 13, 10 and 13. In 2020, we had an entire event dedicated to the 10th Doctor in Time Lord Victorious as well. And another reason I don't want this to happen is that I kind of feel that it would be really unfair on JODIE Whittaker. Don't get me wrong, she's not my favourite incarnation, as you all know. But in my view, the final story of a Doctor should be about that Doctor and their era. It's the same reason I have issues with Twice Upon a Time. Well, to be fair, I have a lot of issues with Twice Upon a Time. But one of them is, I feel as though the first Doctor detracts from the 12th Doctor story rather than adding to it. I feel as though that story should have been about him, and if you wanted to do a First Doctor team-up special, it should have been before his final outing. Now, I understand that they did tie in the themes of the episode quite well, with both Doctors being hesitant to regenerate, but I feel like that could have worked in another episode. You could have had something narratively to make it make sense. These people are writers at the end of the day. It's kind of their job to make that thing up. And I really don't want the same thing to happen with 13. Not only because it would be unfair on JODIE, but it would also be just saturating that same market that we've seen so much of recently. And I think it would just be confirmation that, yeah, we don't have faith in this version of the brand. We don't want to try and get you invested in this one. We would much rather remind you of the things you like so you keep invested. That's how it would come across. It would come across as kind of desperate. The final reason I don't want the 10th Doctor to return in the Centenary special is that I don't want the Centenary special to be a replacement for the 60th. Now, to be fair, there have been multi-Doctor stories that aren't anniversary specials, i.e. the 2 Doctors and the aforementioned Twice Upon a Time respectively. However, I do feel like having a multi-Doctor special a year before the 60th would sort of give the BBC an excuse to go, you know what? You've had this multi-Doctor story with the 13th and 10th Doctor. You don't need another one. And even if there was still a 60th, wouldn't it feel a lot less special if we'd just seen a Doctor team up the year before and we dragged Tennant back along with perhaps a couple of others to do the same sort of thing again? It would remind me very much of what's been happening with Sonic the Hedgehog at the moment. I apologise to anyone who's not well versed in that franchise, but this is a pretty good analogy if you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you'll just have to go along with it. But in 2011, the game Sonic Generations released to celebrate Sonic's 20th anniversary, and with it came a guest appearance from classic Sonic, the Sonic that was basically in the first 3 games, as opposed to the modern Sonic, which was basically Sonic from the adventure games onwards. I promise this is going somewhere. But ever since Sonic Generations, there has been a reliance on classic Sonic, not only in spin-off media, but also in things like Sonic Mania, which is great by the way, but also they did the same team-up again, only 5 years later, in Sonic Forces. And people now are kind of sick of seeing it. And I don't want that to be the case with David Tennant. It's already not great that he's overshadowing your current Doctor in the spin-off media. You don't want that to happen in the television media as well. But these were just my thoughts on this issue. I realise I'm in no way the majority on any situation, so let me know how you feel down in the comments below. I'd genuinely be interested to know, because maybe this is just me, or maybe I am speaking a bit of truths for some of you. I don't know. I just get the feeling that no one's going to do a video about this, so I felt the need to at least discuss it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later.